Hey guys, what's up and welcome to my channel. For today's video, I actually went ahead and went on Instagram and picked out a few products for you guys to choose in between, and you guys are the ones who actually came up with this full face beat. So if you're curious to see what products ended up winning, then be sure to go ahead and just keep on watching. Alright, I already prepped my skin with my skincare, so it is soft, supple, and ready to go. So first off, we have the two primers that were up for, grabs essentially. So we have the e.l.f. Dewy Jelly Pop Primer, which in my mind is a total dupe for the Milk Hydro Grip, like a third of the price, so totally worth it. And then we also have the Touch in Sol No Pore Blem Primer. So out of the two, I'll go ahead and pop up on the screen right here what won. And the e.l.f. primer, as you can see, won by roughly like 10%, which isn't too bad. So we're going to be going ahead and getting started with this primer right here. I absolutely love it. It's hydrating. It makes your skin look dewy and radiant and fresh, and it is very tacky, which really helps the makeup to adhere to the skin and not budge, which I think is perfect. Alright, so next up is foundation, and the two that we were in between was the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation and the Makeup Forever Conceal and Define. Both of these I absolutely love. One's drugstore, one's high-end, like really high-end, and as you can tell, Giorgio Armani won. It was almost a landslide, not really, well, kind of close. So yeah, we're going to be going ahead and getting started with the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. I absolutely love the finish of this one. It is so pretty, so nice, and honestly you cannot go wrong with it. It just gives you such a natural skin finish to the skin, and it's definitely a more lighter coverage foundation, but it's definitely buildable, which I absolutely love. And I mean, you can tell right there, it covers lightly, so I'd say it's a light to medium coverage foundation, but I mean, just the effect that it gives on the skin is just beautiful. I mean, it covers some of the redness that I have, but I mean, you can tell it just gives such a radiant finish to the skin, and for that reason, it is one of my favorites. And first, I'm just taking this on the Rare Beauty foundation brush. I've absolutely been in love with this brush. I think it is so good. It really helps get into the tiny corner of your eye, and just how soft it is and how easily it blends foundation. I mean, it's kind of foolproof, and I love it. So once I'm done blending it out with the brush, something like that, I just like to go over with my sponge and just kind of tap over it and help any excess product that's there kind of, get removed and make the look more seamless. So next product we're going to be using is concealer, and for this one I didn't really give you guys a drugstore option because I absolutely love both of these and I haven't played with them in a while, so I figured, might as well bring them out and see what one you guys end up picking. So for this round, we had the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Skin Concealer and the Hourglass Vanish Seamless Concealer. And as you can tell on the screen, the Hourglass won pretty much by a landslide. There was a few people who did vote for the Makeup Forever one, but majority went Hourglass, and honestly, I love that decision just because the doe foot applicator on this is so nice, and the coverage is a full coverage concealer but with the weight of water. It is so liquidy and so perfect, and honestly I can't say enough good things about it. And the best part is a little bit does go a long way, so luckily you don't need much with this one, which is really good. But just putting it on the high points of my face and kind of spot concealing as well, just because this concealer isn't as bright as some of my other ones, so I kind of like to use it to spot conceal and kind of cover those areas that I want a little bit more coverage on. But as you can tell just from that like easy blending that I did, it covered most of my like pigmentation, and it really helped to brighten up the under eye. And like I said, it is such a lightweight concealer that you honestly don't even feel it on your face. The finish of it is so pretty too, especially because like I said, it's not like a thick consistency, it's more of like a liquid consistency, and it does dry down pretty matte, but it also stays like slightly radiant as well. I mean, the complexion right now, I've never tried this combo, so I just want to say thank you in advance to all the people who voted for this, because I am loving the way that this base is looking. I am so pleasantly surprised. Alright, so the next step is face powder, and I did end up choosing 2 loose powders just because I feel like in my most recent videos I've always been using the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Setting Powder, and I haven't really used a loose powder in a while, so I figured we'd go ahead and give it a shot, and I love both of these. So next we have the Fenty Beauty Setting Powder and the Glossier Wowder, and the Glossier Wowder won, and so today we're going to be using this one. I honestly love the packaging on this because it does have like a little, as I'm spilling powder everywhere, but it does have like a little filter on it, so it's really good at, you know, not getting product everywhere, unlike what I just did. But so I'm just taking that on my e.l.f. Camo Concealer Sponge, and I love it because it's really tapered, and I think it is absolutely perfect for setting the under eye. It can just help like really get right underneath the eye. I'm just going ahead and setting the rest of my face. So I'm just taking a big fluffy powder brush just like this one, just to tap over the rest of my face, making sure everything is set and ready for bronzer. So for the next category, it is bronzer, and for that category we had the Pure Bronzing Act bronzer, which I absolutely love. It's like the perfect mixture of like cool tone and warm tone. It's just good, and it smells like chocolate, so I mean it doesn't get better than that. And we had the number 7 bronzer in the shade Maple, and this one I haven't used in so long, but I found it in my collection, and I used to love this bronzer, so I figured we'd go ahead and, you know, put these to the test and see what one y'all chose, and you guys ended up choosing the number 7 bronzer, which I was honestly really excited about because, like I said, I haven't used this bronzer in a while, so we'll go ahead and start bronzing up the face. And one thing that I do like about this bronzer is that it's not too cool and it's not too warm. It's kind of like the perfect undertone, and so it doesn't make you look like you just got like a sunburn, like you're literally orange, and it also doesn't make you look ashy, like it's too cool toned. I think it is honestly like one of the perfect shades of bronzer, especially for my skin tone, and I just really love this bronzer because it is seamless, it doesn't move around your foundation at all, and it's not as pigmented, which personally I like, because with some bronzers I know that you can just, you know, one tap and it's like boom, you have a stripe across your face, and that's fine. It just takes longer to blend out. So this one I like that it's, you know, harder pressed and it's not as pigmented, so you can kind of build up the shade to where you want it to be rather than it being super bold and, you know, dark right off the bat. So now that I have bronzing the complexion complete, we're actually going to go ahead and jump onto the eyes before we do any blush or highlight or anything like that. So for the eyes, it was in between 2 of the Jaclyn Hill Vault palettes. We had the Ring the Alarm palette, which is just this beautiful like warm tone with some like grungy tones like the green and then the brown over here. Absolutely love it. However, the palette that did win is the Dark Magic palette, which is this one right here. I think it's so beautiful. It's deep, dark, and sultry. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with this palette. First, just as a quick and easy, simple transition, I'm gonna take the shade Shh right here, which is like this really nice, like taupey grayish, I guess you could say. And I'm just gonna go ahead and take that on a fluffy brush and just fluff that right into the crease, kind of focusing it as a transition. So hitting the crease, but also keeping it a little bit above the crease as well. So now that I have the transition shade complete, I'm gonna go ahead and put in the outer corner this shade Mojo, which is this like beautiful, like deep, dark, cool toned brown. And I'm just gonna focus that on the outer corner, kind of starting with a patting motion, making sure that I get all the pigment pressed onto the eye and then start to blend. Of course, doing the circular motions and then lightly fluffing that into the crease, keeping it more centralized and not blending up as far. Just kind of keeping that rounded shape like that. And since I am getting a bit of fallout, I'm actually going to go ahead and take my loose powder that I use, which is the Glossier Wowder. Take my sponge, tap into some of that powder like that, get a nice thick layer, and just pat that right underneath the eye. That way if there is any fallout, the powder completely catches it, and then you can just dust it away afterwards. It honestly makes doing eyeshadow so much easier, and you don't need to worry about being as precise, especially with darker shadows. They do have a tendency to have more fallout, especially if you're packing them on. I'm just gonna go ahead and keep it like that, and then I'm just gonna continue to build up that Mojo shade. And I'm honestly so excited that this is the palette that won, just because I haven't really used this palette too much since I am a more like neutral, warm tone kind of girl. I don't really go for these like cool tone, dark and grungy colors. So I like that y'all are kind of like, you know, forcing me out of my comfort zone, which is good. I respect it. And I'm just gonna go ahead and do the same to the other eye. Now, once I have it looking something like that, I'm actually gonna go ahead and take that initial brush that we started off with, dip back into the shade Shh, and kind of just further blend those edges, making everything look seamless and adding more of that transition shade right above Mojo, just to kind of give it more of a blend and look seamless on the eye and not so stark. Alright, so for the next step, I could totally play it safe and just go in with the shade Poof and just blend that right on the lid, keep it all matte like a dark sultry eye. However, the shade Trickery right here, which is like this beautiful like emerald green with like a slight sheen to it, is absolutely calling my name, and I think it would be so beautiful on the eye. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut the crease with the Hourglass Vanish Seamless Concealer, just taking that on a flat shader brush, just something like this. I absolutely love using these brushes to cut the crease, and I'm going to go ahead and start it right there, just drag it down and then complete the half circle. Once I have something like that, I'm actually going to go ahead and just take that brush that we used Mojo with and just tap it over the edge to kind of get rid of that harsh line and just gently blend it so that it's more seamless and not as stark. Then, because these shadows really work well with just applying with a finger, I'm going to do as best I can to get as close to the crease with using my finger. So I'm just taking that on my ring finger, the shade Trickery, and patting that right on the lid. That's funny because it actually looks more matte than shimmery, but I really like it. And I'm just going to go ahead and take that on a small definer brush as well. That way I can kind of work it up into the crease and not, you know, mess it up. So I'm just taking that on a small shader brush, loading up the brush, and stamping that right where we have that concealer that's still tacky so that we don't get much fallout, and I can just really wiggle it right up against that line. So once I have it looking something like that, I'm gonna go ahead and do the other eye off camera and I'll be back. Alright, so now that I have the eyes looking something like this, I'm gonna go ahead and take that smaller shader brush and dip into the shade Mojo again, just to further deepen that up and kind of pat over the edge to make sure everything is blended seamlessly, and slightly start to swoop that shade right into the crease as well to make it more cohesive. Now, I mean, by all means, you can leave the look just like this, but for me personally, I want to add just a little bit of shimmer. So I'm actually going to go ahead and take another flat shader brush and dip into the shade Power Cut, which is like this beautiful, like steel kind of color. I wouldn't say it's like silver completely, but it's just this beautiful sheen. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and tap that on the lid exactly where we applied that green shadow called Trickery. And I mean, you can automatically tell the difference between the two. It just adds a little bit of shimmer, kind of like a, I feel like this is like a barely there type of sheen, and I feel like it actually just helps that base color pop even more and not seem as dark. And then to finish it up, I'm just going to be taking like a clean fluffy brush and buffing over everything, making sure that the edges are blended, seamless. I'm not taking any product. This is a clean brush. And now that I'm done with the lid, we're gonna go ahead and start working on the lower lash line. But first I'm gonna go ahead and just buff away any of the fallout that might have occurred. And I'm taking a small pencil brush, just like this one, dipping into the shade Shush, or however you wanna pronounce it, and just buffing that right on the lower lash line all the way across. And I'm not being super precise with that shade just because this look is quite smoky. I want to go ahead and kind of mimic that on the lower lash line as well, keeping it dark and grungy down there. And then I'm going to take the shade Moho, which is that dark brown, and do the same thing, but focus this one more closer to the outer corner. Kind of something like that, just really tying it and swooping it back. Kind of connecting it to the top shadow as well, keeping it really dark, really grungy, and really smoky. Actually, I think I'm gonna dip into the shade Temptress, which is like this really nice black, just to further kind of enhance that outer corner and give it more of that depth, because I feel like the brown was working, but I wanted something a little bit darker. What I'm going to do to further deepen up the lower lash line is just take a like flat definer brush and dip into the shade Temptress, just patting it right on the tip and then getting super close to the lash line and kind of stamping and smudging it. That way we get the most pigmentation just right there in the outer corner. And then taking a little bit of that shade Shush right here and blending it all out. Keeping that richness and that smokiness all towards the outer corner, but kind of allowing it to blend easily by using a transition shade. I'm gonna go ahead and pop on some mascara, and for this round you guys had the choice between the NYX On The Rise mascara and the Lily Lashes Triple Length mascara, and Lily Lashes was the winner. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this on the top and bottom lashes just to prepare for falsies. So while my top lashes are drying, I'm actually going to go ahead and begin to, cut and trim and apply falsies. So you guys had the choice between the Kiss lashes in the style Muse. I absolutely love this style. I feel like they're so full and flirty and wispy. And we also had the House of Lashes in the style Valentina, and the House of Lashes in the style Valentina actually did end up winning. So I'm going to go ahead and trim these and pop these on, and I'll be back. Alright, so I went ahead and popped on a lash, added a little bit more of that silver shade to the lid, and finished up the eyes. So next we're gonna go ahead and finish up the complexion. So for blushes, y'all really got me on this one. It was exactly a 50-50 tie. And we have the Milani Petal Primrose Blush and the CoverFX Soft Peach. So since it is a direct tie, I'm actually just going to go ahead and mix the two together. So dipping into Milani, just kind of bouncing back and forth, and then applying that to the back third of the cheek. And honestly, I feel like mixing these blushes will give a really nice tone as a blush, just because the Petal Primavera is lightly more pinky and the Soft Peach is more like a peachy apricot shade, and I think it'll just really complement the eyes quite nicely. So now that we're done with that, we're gonna move on to highlight. But first, I like to set my face. So for the setting sprays, we have the Catrice Prime and Fine. This is so affordable. I think it's like maybe $5, and it works really, really well. It's kind of a comparable dupe for the Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray. And then we have my absolute favorite setting spray of all time. It is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Setting Spray. This, I'm telling you, it is smudge proof, budge proof. I mean, it makes your makeup last all day without creasing, and it gives you more of, not like a matte finish, but like a slightly radiant but not dewy, if that makes any sense. So this is the one that won, and I'm so excited about that because, like I said, this is one of my favorites. So I'm just going to go ahead and spritz it onto the face before we get started with highlight. I mean, you can tell it has like this natural radiance to it, but it's not super dewy. But I really, really love it because it kind of melts all of the powder products that are on your skin just into one, and it makes everything look so seamless. So for the highlights, we had the Juvia's Place Tribe No. 3 highlighter. I absolutely love this one. This one is more of an intense highlighter. And then we also had the Laura Mercier No. 1 Baked highlighter, which this is more of like a natural radiance, like lit from within. Like I was born this glowy and dewy. So this is the one that won. So for today, we're actually going to be going in with the Laura Mercier powder. And honestly, I feel like this was such a good choice just because, like I said, it is a more like naturally radiant. It doesn't really pick up on skin texture too bad, and it just gives you like this beautiful like lit from within sheen. And I think that for this look, that is perfect just because the eyes are so deep and so dark. I feel like the base should be more like light and airy. So I'm really glad that this is the highlight that won today. But I mean, you can tell it's not super like bright and radiant. It's just more of like a light baby glow to the skin. And I feel like since the eyes are so dark, I'm actually going to go ahead and take some of this highlight as well and just pop that right on the inner corner and blend it upwards to try to help bring some brightness to the eye since it is so dark. Just to kind of help open the eye a little bit. And I mean, you can kind of tell already the difference between this eye and this eye. It's so subtle, but I feel like it's so necessary. And just kind of blending that up into the crease as well, just to further give it that like brightness and like doe-eyed effect without it being too much. So something just like that to help kind of open the eye. And then I'm also going to take that and highlight the brow bone, just kind of sloppily, honestly. And then I'm going to take that brush that doesn't have any pigment or anything on it and just blend that together. Alright, so I can't believe that we are almost complete. All we have is lips, more setting spray, and brows. So I'm going to go ahead and get the brows out of the way. So the two options that we had to choose from was the Anastasia Dip Brow Gel. I absolutely love this. It's such a great product, very versatile, and it gives you like a quick and easy bushy brow, fluffy brow rather, with like without any effort at all. It's just amazing. And then honestly, same goes for the Essence one. This one, the Essence Make Me Brow, they're both amazing. This one's obviously more expensive and this one's cheaper. I believe this one's like maybe $3. But the one that won today is the Anastasia Dip Brow Gel in the shade Dark Brown. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just kind of pop this and run it right through the brow. I'll show you guys. It is so simple. Like, I just start kind of in the middle of the brow, making sure that that is the darkest part and focusing most of the pigment, you know, on the end of the brow and in the middle. And just like that, you can already tell, I mean, it did so much for my brows. And then without dipping back in, I just like to start in the front of the brow and kind of flick upwards, just to kind of give it like that ombre effect and not be as harsh in the front. And since this is a gel, this actually really helps to ensure that your brows stay in place all day long. And I mean, you can already tell the difference between the two, and this took me maybe, you know, 20 seconds. So it's a great way to get super quick and easy brows with just one product. Last but not least, we have the lip. So I have lip liner, lipstick, and of course, I can't go anywhere without a gloss. So starting with the lip liner, we had the Pat McGrath Contour Lip Liner, which is one of my absolute favorites. Her formula is to die for. It's so like creamy and buttery, and it lasts all day on your lips. Then for the other one, we had the ColourPop and I Love Sarai collab, and this is the lippy pencil in the shade Curvy. I absolutely love this one as well. Honestly, ColourPop's lip liners are just beautiful. They're also very creamy, but they don't last as long as the Pat McGrath ones, but honestly, in my mind, that's okay, because for the price, it is so worth it. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply Curvy to the lips. So now that I have the lips lined, I'm gonna go ahead and do a mixture of the Maybelline Nude Lust Lippy as well as the Becca Sugar Lippy, just because these were tied exactly. So I figured, just like the blush, I'm gonna go ahead and use both of the lipsticks. Then for Nude Lust, I'm just gonna pop that right on the center. And then last but certainly not least, we have the lip gloss in Lunar Beauty in the shade Moon and Juvia's Place in the shade Barely There, but Lunar Beauty was the winner. Honestly, I can't say enough good things about this gloss. It smells like cupcakes. I mean, what more could you want from a gloss? And the thing that I also really like is that it's not super sticky like most glosses are. It's more of like a lip oil kind of finish, and it just makes your lips look so juicy and glossy, and I can't say enough good things about the Lunar Beauty glosses. If you haven't tried them, I definitely recommend them. And just to finish off the look, I'm going to go ahead and spritz a little bit more of the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish setting spray, and we'll be done with this video. Alright you guys, and this is the finished look using all the products that you helped me pick out and choose. So thank you guys so much for participating in this video. I hope that you guys had fun, you know, choosing products as much as I did filming this. I think it was, you know, so fun and so different and something new for this channel. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please let me know in the comments down below. And if you did like this video, please be sure to drop a like as well. And before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell. That way you're notified every single time I upload a video. I love you guys so much, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye guys.